Undereye, and today we're doing a wear test on some new makeup. Now this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm starting with all my makeup already on, but I'm going to share with you what I've put on already and then come back about 10 hours later and we'll talk about if this makeup is even worth purchasing and what I liked and didn't like. I've had a lot of questions since I've started doing YouTube shorts about which serum type foundation is the best. Several have come out. I've reviewed them in shorts. I've done wear tests, but I thought it would be fun to compare two of my favorites today. So on this side of my face, I put on the Nude Drop Tinted Serum from Catrice. I really like the way this looks on my skin. Let me get up closer where you can see what I've loved about it so far. When I wear it, it doesn't seem to get in my fine lines that I have, especially in my forehead. Those tend to collect a lot of foundation in them if it's not the right foundation and if it's not applied correctly. Now this is called a serum, but they also say foundation right underneath, and it does give coverage. So on this side, I've put the new Wet n Wild. This is their Bare Focus. It has niacinamide in it. They call it a skin tint also. They don't say foundation on it. It has hyaluronic acid in it. And as you can see, the shade range is a little different. This one from Wet n Wild looks a little deeper, and it does on my skin too. Now, what I noticed initially just starting the video is I didn't get quite the coverage from the Wet n Wild that I got from the Catrice. I did get some foundation collecting here on the Wet n Wild side. The Catrice, I didn't have to go back and sort of push it into the skin. So as far as application, I felt that the Catrice applied better than the Wet n Wild, and I was using my fingers for both sides. Wet n Wild has a new primer glow product called Wet n Wild Glow in Love. I typically don't like these kinds of products as a primer, so I have just put it here right on the cheekbone. I think it gives a really nice glow to the skin. Well, we'll see if it's still glowing at the end of the day. For my brows, I've been very impressed so far with this product from Essence. It's their Thick and Wow. The brush is just the perfect size for my brows. I have pretty fine brows. Let's go over them a little bit. You just brush into the hairs like this, and you can build this up. So if you feel like the first coat, it's not thick enough, and your brows could use a little more volume, you can go back and apply a little bit more. And that's what I like about this product too. It does keep the hair up a little bit because it's got fibers in it. And when I've done wear tests on this before, something that I loved about it was that the tail of my brow at the end of the day was still there. It didn't wear off like it has in the past with some pencils. So we'll see if it holds up to the test. I've been loving this primer from Essence. It's called Prime Like a Boss. It doesn't have any color to it. So if you're looking for a primer that covers up discoloration on the lids, this isn't your product. It comes out white. It's very silky feeling, and it goes on very thin. So that's one thing I like about it. I believe it's really good for a mature eye because we don't want this heavy, thick primer on our lids. It's just going to make them look creasier and not very smooth. This goes on really beautifully. You can see it actually has a little bit of a luminosity to it. I've been so impressed. So that's what I've used on my lids before I applied this palette. It's from Sephora. It's their Precious Gemstones. This is a neutral palette. I know some people think that's really boring, but what I bought it for was this shade. I just thought this was so beautiful, and so's this one. I didn't apply this one today, but I think that's gorgeous too. But I have really fallen for these Sephora shadows. I think they're such quality. They seem to look prettier and go on just as easy as some that I have that are very pricey. I do have the Natasha Denona palette, and I feel like these are just as great. So if you're looking for some shadows and you're not wanting to pay $50, $60, $70 for an eyeshadow palette, this is one that's really affordable. But let's see how it looks at the end, if it looks as nice as it does now. Here's how my lids look now. I went in with this shade first, just over the lid. Then I used these two shades here. I used this one for liner. I went in my under eye a little bit on the outer corner with this shade. It's such a beautiful one to work with, not too strong. I actually went back and forth to get it a little bit deeper. This palette is super affordable compared, like I said, with high end, and I found that the shadows work beautifully. Let's talk about the under eye. Before I started putting anything on this morning, I used this new product from Wet n Wild. It is called their Cooling Hydra Depuffer. It's supposed to help with puffiness in the under eyes. I struggle with allergies at certain points of the year, so I had a slight bit of puffiness, not a lot, but I do think my under eyes look pretty good today for the struggles I'm having right now with allergies. This looks like a lot of the sticks I've purchased before, where they just go on feeling very cool and it dries down and your under eyes feel hydrated. So we'll see if they feel dry at the end of the day. I've used this a couple of times and so far I've been happy with it. It has caffeine, vitamin E. So if you struggle with puffy under eyes, this might help slightly. I don't think it's going to take away a big eye bag. I really don't. But it did feel nice and gave my under eyes a little extra hydration. A couple of other things I applied for my eye look. One is this pencil from Almay. It's in the shade Evergreen. One of you mentioned the other day in a comment, oh, I think your eyes would look great with a green liner. Well, it's so funny because I had bought this to try out. It is a long-lasting gel. It says All Day Intense Gel Eyeliner. And let's take a look. That is pretty intense. That's a bold shade. Now what I did, I applied it to the lid and then took this little brush from BK Beauty. It is the 208. This is a brush I'm such a fan of because I think a lot of eye brushes are just too big for our eyes and they're very difficult to work with. This is so tiny, I can go in the corner and you can see I've sort of picked up the green on the edge. And that's what I did. I just went like this with the brush and it brought it right up. I used it also to blend along the lash line. I didn't used to blend my liner much, but I'm finding now that smudgy blended looks so much prettier and lasts better all day on my eyes. So I'm really a fan of doing that now. So that's what I've done there. I also applied this mascara. Now this was the only thing here that was sent to me. It was sent from Physicians Formula. This is their new Lash Illusion mascara. Now at first when I put it on, I thought, this isn't very good. I really felt like my lashes looked mediocre. I have mediocre lashes to begin with. But as I started looking at it, it wasn't clumping. It's a very dry formula. This one comes out with not stuff hanging off of it or very liquidy. But as I went over the lashes, they started to look like false lashes. But take a look. After I looked at them, they're not really long. They're not really thick, but they are fluttery. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. What kind of a lash do you like? Some people love like spidery lashes where they look very intense and they're almost stuck together. I think for every day, this kind of look is pretty nice. But let me know in the comments. Before I put on the foundation this morning, I wanted to try this. It's a pore minimizing serum from Essence. They have a bunch of these kinds of serums. They're really super affordable. Now, I will say it has fragrance. It's at the bottom of the list or towards the bottom, and it has a very fruity smell. It says with pomegranate and niacinamide. So it has that pomegranate smell. I know for many of you, fragrance is a total deal breaker. So I wanted to mention that. Usually for me, it is too. I have sensitive skin. I've had rosacea in the past. Right now, my skin is clear, but I have dealt with that before. So I know how it feels to have these sensitivities to products. This is pretty much just a liquidy sort of gel texture. And what I did, because I was afraid I might have a breakout from it, I put it here on the pores here, because that's where I have the most pores, and I put it on the forehead. My forehead is my toughest area of my skin that can sort of take products. Like it could take retinaldehyde much better than the cheeks of my face. So I applied it there. I don't know that I saw a huge difference in the way my pores looked. It did hydrate the skin, but this is one I think I'll have to use for a longer period of time to see if I think it works. But it wasn't one where instantly I went, wow, my pores look amazing now. It wasn't like that at all. I think it's just too thin for that to happen, but it did work fine and I didn't seem to have any reaction. I talked about this concealer recently. It's the Fiera that's all over Instagram. I purchased it to see if it was any good, and I love it. It's very thick when you take it out of the tube. So when I first tried it, I thought there's not much hope for this, but you're supposed to warm it up. Warm it up either on the back of the hand like this, or even I warmed it up after between my fingers before applying it, and then just press like that. So I've already put some on, but let's add a little bit in this outer corner here. We'll just add a little more brightness before I leave for work. I have loved this so far, and the reason is no creasing. Once it dries, it seems like you think this isn't the kind of product that's going to dry down, but it does. And it's worked beautifully, and it lasts. Because it's got that different consistency to it, it seems to last better than some that are really thin. So that works good. And I find that also if I have like a breakout or something, I can put that on it just to sort of cover that up a little bit. It worked great on just regular, this is raised up here, but if I have something flat on my face, it worked great for that coverage too. The last couple of things I've applied, one is this from Jason Wu. Now I have it on my lips right now. It is a lipstick and a blush. So I've already applied the blush, and I'll just show you. I put a little bit like this on the skin and just dabbed it out with my fingers. So we'll apply a little bit more. I wasn't overly generous with it. And here. I love the look of it. It has a very powdery, silky feel to it. And that's what I put on my lips. I just went over my lips and just sort of blended it out with my finger. And I like the feel of it. It doesn't seem to feel drying, and it feels weightless on my lips. So I do like that. I line my lips with my Color Stay from Revlon. This is their nude liner. It's one that I have in my collection. I use often. And I thought we'd put on a little of this lip oil. Now, I don't expect this lipstick to last all day with the lip oil. I'm going to have coffee. I'm going to have water. I'm going to eat lunch. There's going to be a lot happening today at school, but I love this. It's very hydrating. I've tried it before. Let's take a look. I think it looks really pretty over the Jason Wu. That's everything I'm wearing. Right now, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:09. I will get back from school a little early today, probably around 4. It's been such a long week. It's a Friday. This time of year before spring break, the kids are really excited, and we're preparing for state testing and all those kinds of things. So the days are very tiring. And when I come home, sometimes I look pretty tired. But we'll see how I look at the end of the school day. It's 4:29 in the afternoon. Let's see how all the makeup held up. Let's start with the Essence, the Pore Minimizing Serum. I'm on the fence about this because I don't see that my pores looked any smaller. I did like the feel of it. I felt like it was moisturizing, but I'm not sure it's really doing anything different than a moisturizer would do. I feel like I still see some of my pores, but they look pretty good. So I'm going to keep testing that out and get back with you about that. It is super affordable, so that part of it is great, but I'm not so sure it's doing a whole lot for my pores. Now let's move on to the foundation, the tinted serum from Catrice on this side. I think it looks great. I have a little wear here under the nose, which I do pretty much with every foundation I have because I have some allergies right now and I might rub my nose during the day. I try not to, but occasionally I will, and some of the product will wear off a little bit. But I think overall, I don't see anything really in my forehead lines. I think it looks good here. I still have plenty on the chin and everything. So overall, I think the Catrice looks great. Now let's look on this side at the Wet n Wild. I think it held up great too. I see maybe a little tiny bit of product collecting there. And if I look at the forehead lines, I might see a tiny bit, but not much to where it's very noticeable. And I think this gives maybe a little more coverage than the Catrice side. Now, I liked the way the Catrice performed a little better because I found that it dried down like quicker and it had sort of a more powdery sort of feel to it. I liked the experience of the Catrice better than the Wet n Wild. Now let's talk about these two products a little bit more. You've asked me about scent, so I want to sort of do a scent here. This definitely has the Catrice foundation scent, not a paint scent, but definitely an artificial type scent to it. But I never notice it once it's on my skin. Now, a lot of you were concerned about the Wet n Wild because the Dewy Photo Focus Foundation, some people don't like the scent of it. They say it smells like straight up paint. So I want to do a little sniff test on this. I would say this has actually got a lighter scent to it than the Catrice. The Catrice, I definitely smell a little heavier scent coming out of this. But as I told you, once it's on my skin, I don't notice. Let's move on to the Glow in Love from Wet n Wild. I do see a beautiful shimmer here still. Remember, we use this as more of a highlighter and less for underneath as a primer. I don't usually use those products like that. I think sometimes I get a little bit of a skin reaction to it if I put them all over. I've had that happen before where I notice a little bump or some redness the next day. So I don't like to go over the top with these glowy type products. And as you notice, the packaging is very small. There's not a lot in this. It says 0.67 full ounces. So it is very tiny, and it does have niacinamide and glycerin in it. So I felt the glycerin did make it go on really smoothly. So you could try it as a primer. I'm just not a fan of using these types of products that way. Let's talk about the depuffer. I really enjoyed this. I did not notice like this huge difference in the under eyes, but I'm going to continue to use it to see if the days I do have a little puffier under eyes, if it helps a lot. But it is one of these products with caffeine, vitamin E. It did give a nice little bit of moisture to the under eyes. So if you're looking for a little extra hydration and puffiness is an issue, I think it's worth a try. It's super affordable. The Essence Prime Like a Boss, fantastic. I think this is a great little eyeshadow primer, very affordable if you're not looking for something that covers veins or discoloration, because this will not do that. But it really does help the shadows to go on easier. Speaking of the shadows, I love these. I think my eye look still looks really nice. You see all the shades there. It hasn't washed out. The Essence Prime Like a Boss, it is fantastic if you're not looking for something to cover veins or any discoloration. I'm a real fan of this. It helps the shadows to go on smoothly, and these shadows, look how they lasted all these hours. And speaking of that, this Sephora palette, I think, is beautiful if you're looking for something with a little shimmer and nudes. It's very travel friendly, this packaging. It has a mirror in it. It's lightweight cardboard, so it's not something that's going to break on a trip. So I think this is fantastic if you're just looking for some new shades to work with. The Essence Thick and Wow, I say beautiful. Look at how you still see the definition in the tail of my brow after all these hours. To me, it looks the same as when I put it on. I love that. So many pencils fade during the day. I love that it added a little bit of extra thickness to the brow. So this is one that gets a good for me that I would say I'd recommend it. Let's talk about the Fiera Concealer, another great product. I think I still do not have any darkness in the under eyes. They still look pretty bright, considering all the hours I've been away from the house, that I've been out in the humidity, the wind, all these things. I wasn't just indoors all day. I was outside at recess. So I've been in and out of the weather also, which can have an impact on the look of the makeup. So this one is another winner. Let's finish looking at the eyes, the Almay liner. Look how you can see the entire line still. This is just fantastic. I am in love with the evergreen shade. I think it's gorgeous. They make other great shades. So you'll want to check them out. I have the links for everything in the description of the video. I want your opinion on this. I hope you'll comment below about the mascara. I'm a little on the fence about this. It has some amazing qualities about it. First of all, I have to admit that I cried today. A friend of mine, we were having a conversation and I started talking about my mom and I teared up. And I thought, this mascara is going to be a mess. And look at it. It did not become a mess. I had no flaking, so that is wonderful. And I want you to look at the lashes. They are curled up. They've stayed really nice. Now, they're not a lot thicker than they normally are. They aren't a lot longer, but they look really nice. And I think they look natural. So I really do like this. It doesn't make them look so much better than they normally look, but I think it is a great mascara. So let me know what you think below. Do you think that I should keep using it, or do you think that I should move on to something else? Now the blush and the lips. Remember, we used the Jason Wu. This is a blush lip combination. I just really am loving the shade. This is my jam. I think the blush looks fantastic. It's held up all day. I'm really impressed with this. Now, as a lipstick, I had to apply it again. It didn't last for hours and hours because, like I said, I drink coffee, I drink water all day. So it didn't withstand that. This isn't one of those long-wearing lipsticks that's going to last for hours and hours. Plus, I had put the lip oil on top, and that's going to break down the lipstick some. So part of that is not the lipstick's fault. It's that I put the Essence lip oil on top. But I think this is a beautiful combination. This is pink champagne, by the way, the Essence lip oil. And this shade here is called Hot Fluff. I love it. So I think it's a beautiful combination, and I don't mind having to reapply once or twice during the day if my lips can feel great and I get a shade that I'm really happy with. And this is one I really love. So the lip liner, I put this back on too. I think Color Stay lip liners are excellent. These from Revlon are just hard to beat. They're super affordable. I'll always keep them in my collection. I just think they work well with so many lipsticks I already have from other beauty brands. So it's just something I think I'll always have. So let me know what you think of all this new makeup and if it's something you think you're interested in, if you think it might be worth trying out. I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments and also how you thought it looked. Did you like the mascara? What did you think of the Jason Wu? I was pretty impressed. They have other shades. I think I'll reach out and order a couple more, maybe a nude shade or a peach. Also, I'd love to hear about a look you'd like to see. Is there a certain shade you would like me to test out some new makeup in? I appreciate and love you all so much. I hope you have a blessed week, and I look forward to seeing you soon.